Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka, well, BN. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the latest dev feedback that was just introduced a couple hours ago for January and February. There is, from my brief perusing, a couple hot topic items that we're going to touch on. As always, if you enjoy, and even if you don't, please make sure you still give us a, because it helps out a lot. Thanks. All right. Number one. Achievement system data synchronization. I know this is the feedback, right? So retroactively sync pre-update data, e.g. login streaks, Dark Legion kills, resource gathering to the new achievement system to recognize past progress. This seems like not only a quality of life, but just something that you just don't miss out on. This sounds like it makes sense. Thank you for your feedback. We understand that past progress is especially valued by old players, and we thank you for your long-term dedication. Unfortunately, some data before the launch of the achievement system is irretrievable. However, we will check and confirm what data is retained and then consider making some additions to the achievement system. Again, given the achievement system is newer and it wasn't something that was initially introduced on global or shortly after global, I could understand why some people would like for what the time, investment, commitment, progress that they've already made to apply and be accounted for in the achievement system. Even if maybe, let's say, for example, you can't do everything. Are there some things you can do? I mean, something has to be better than nothing. Now, do I think this is the end of the world if absolutely nothing can be done? No, I don't. But is it a nice to have? Is it something that some players, however many of them, attach a level of value and importance to on the fact that, why wasn't this something that could have been coded in that way? Like if you knew, and this is the other angle, if you knew that an achievement system was eventually going to be introduced, similar to how they have one in Rock, why not already put the code in the game or develop the game or put some kind of infrastructure in the game where that could be applied if introduced later on in the game's life? To me, that just kind of comes down to future planning and foresight. So hopefully they'll be able to maybe do something. We'll have to wait and hear more about that later. Next, hero balance adjustments. Interesting. Okay. Buff underperforming G3 infantry, elk riders, mages. It would be nice if there was some data here or even just some examples in the feedback question or topic that they chose so it just wasn't so bland in its delivery. An example would be, why not say something like, hey, can you buff this particular underperforming infantry as the matchup for rallies against this, and this comp has it at a lower percentage than the G2s, which are at this. Again, this is one of those things when you talk about performance, you have to attach some kind of statistical number and some kind of performance metrics so we have an understanding on where you're coming from. Even if you're not going super in depth, I just kind of gave a broad overview of numbers. It's not something that you have to. Would it be a nice to have? Absolutely. Here's the response. Thank you for your feedback with regard to the newest mages. Our current metrics show that they are performing up to standard, so there will be no immediate changes. For G3 infantry and elk riders, we have slated their adjustments in the next quarter without a definitive patch at the moment. We will have more information for you in the future. Okay, this to me seems like it's a nice 50-50. It's, look, the data is not supporting, if that's true, that the newest mages are underperforming. However, they have noted that on the infantry and the elk riders that they are, and they plan to make a fix. Again, maybe I might be a little iffy on if people come out and say like, okay, hey, here's the data to show that. And then they're like, oh yeah, no, nothing's wrong. We don't have any plans to do any adjustments. But this is basically, you're getting 2/3 of an adjustment versus a full. I kind of look at that as a win. But again, this is in a very superficial, broad sense because there's no data numbers that we're looking at here. Okay, next. War camp coordination. This is something people have been talking about and we're mentioning on the stream as well. Allow alliances within the same war camp to join the same warband for faster reinforcements. Thank you for your feedback and suggestions. The war camp system in SOS is an SOS 3 feature that we don't want to have an impact on the existing warband mechanics. But please rest assured, we might keep exploring ways to deepen the war camp system in future seasons. My whole thing is, if you're going to have a war, like your war band essentially is what you take with you, what you create and set up in your home kingdom, right? Up to your 4 alliances, 4 or 5 alliances can join. And then from there, that's what your kingdom war band is. Your war camp is a collection of kingdoms that are unioned or allied or set as a team in the KVK. I think what people are really trying to bridge the gap here on is they would like for features and certain mechanics and utilization to be allowed and or extended to the war camp system. Now, it would just be nice if they said, hey, can you add these things to there? Like just add in these features. I would have rather them maybe picked a suggestion that highlighted that, just so people who are not familiar with those things can immediately understand. And an example of that would be, hey, I can leave and join an alliance, like any alliance in my war camp if we're in the same zone. Like just something to that effect. And I'm not saying that necessarily has to happen or not happen. I'm just saying that's an example of something, or being able to go through the same pass, right, that your union opens, right? That was something that they mentioned adding in, I think, a few updates or feedbacks ago. Next, postseason healing production acceleration. This has obviously been a massive one. So the feedback here is boost post KVK Elixir production to improve the Battle Abyss experience. Listen, Battle Abyss, I think, is a great sandbox environment, but it is not without its opportunities. Number one, my view is I just wish they did it like Infinity Kingdom did, where it doesn't cost any elixir, doesn't cost any resources, no troops get sent to the hospital, and every player just gets a set amount of troops to use, but their personal stats, buffs such as, and progression of units such as a hero, an artifact, and a war pet, that is applied to the mode based on your personal stats. So the only common denominators or universals would be you have a certain amount of troop capacity, and once that capacity is done, then you're done, right? But like once that's done, it's over. So again, what this means is that you probably have to be a little bit more tactical and a little bit more strategic and take a little bit more time to think when you're playing in the mode. Now, I'm not necessarily saying the cap has to be low for that if they opt that. You can set a high troop cap so people can play right up to, if not throughout the entire time, or maybe they just have an unlimited troop cap. There's an option too. But the point here is that it should be a mode where people don't have to worry about stalling, delaying, or losing any personal progression and or something that would impact their ability to go out and fight in the KVK. We've already heard, from a number of people that have talked about, well, I don't know if I'm going to participate in Battle Abyss, or I don't know if I'm really going to go as hard as I would have liked to, because it is impacting their KVK that's happening in real time, or Battle Abyss is going on while there's fighting that's happening in the KVK, and they don't want to have to spend resources. They don't want to have to lose out on, again, any of their, I guess that's probably the best way, right? Any of their resources that they would be applying, like i.e. having to use. Even the fact of people saying like your heal stats are impacted. I guess that was the other thing I was trying to think of. Like the heal stats that are impacted in there, but you don't have any kill stats. Again, my thing is like, dude, it's a side game mode. Why are you even applying any stats? I don't get that. Right now, maybe it's because of the fact that you can heal your troops, they get sent to the hospital, and then you can reuse, right, going into the mode. Again, that's from my understanding and from what I've been told. So, yeah, I just think the mode should just be so much easier, so much more simple. Okay. So response here is catering to shorter seasons. We are planning to adjust the free healing production in the future. Well, that's nice. Though it's not a change that is dedicated to Battle Abyss, since we are focusing on the overall improvements of this new game mode. You may feel how it influences your experience. In the previous R5 Q&A, which is the HOK, we mentioned that there are potentially special Battle Abyss events after the mode is stable. Appreciate your understanding. Okay. So they're going to adjust it. That's nice. So seems like a little bit of a W. They're coming in. Okay. This is one of the other touchier subjects that I'm so excited to talk about. I saw this. I didn't read anything, but I just saw the headline. High King relocation of inactive players, a.k.a. kicking that ass out. Yeah, what did I mean? Let the High Kings start a vote to relocate inactive players to low activity servers. Basically, they want to vote you weakest link, right? Thank you for your feedback. In the 1.0.36 patch, the High King discharge feature will take effect, allowing High Kings to remove, where's my thing? To remove specific members from the realm. You may refer to the announcements and the newest patch note for a more detailed introduction and experience of the new feature after the coming update. Additionally, we are aware of your concern regarding the discharge function. After the patch note is released, we will observe and evaluate the performance of the function after it is rolled out before making adjustments to it. Keep in mind, at the moment, there is only the right? So the update is going to drop on the 20th, right? So I guess I should state that, right? So you have a couple days, probably 2.5 days, at least as of recording this, until that drops. I will say, I respect the fact, and I think that it is a good decision when it comes to them stating that they are willing to make adjustments. This feature, even though I think it has amazing potential and upside, still has to be handled with a quality and almost determined level of care. Keep in mind, the discharge feature, for the most part, is really designed with the intention of removing the strongest inactive or power filler accounts. Like, that's really what we're talking about here. If you're someone who's a little bit lower on the totem pole, like you still contribute, but maybe you can't play as much, people, and I should say rogue players, like people who just wish harm upon the kingdom, you are lower on the totem pole. The kings and queens, again, are not going to be, I would be shocked if they decide, you know what, I'm going to kick this 20 million player out because they haven't contributed at all compared to someone who's like 150 million account and they're barely contributing, right? / pretty much inactive. They're going to prioritize the strongest players based on, are you basically a dead account? Are you not contributing? Are you causing problems? And I don't mean to say that in a way as though it's to act as a deterrent or it's, we're just going to whip everyone in line and it's our way or the highway. We're not saying that. Again, each kingdom can manage things how they see fit. That's always been the rule of law. The truth of kingdom builders is that not every kingdom is going to be managed, ruled, governed the same way as another, even if you may find similarities across different kingdoms or servers. But that is how I would view the discharge feature for those kind of 3 types of players that you would most likely be prioritizing before you get to anyone else, because we still don't even know the details. Like, we don't know how many you can do. Is it unlimited? I doubt. Is it a certain amount you get per week? per 2 weeks, per month? Those things we don't know. Will there be any other restrictions or limitations? Will the kings or queens have to pay for everything? Will they only have to do a partial payment for people to get out? Now, I still stand by what I've said before, and I've said this, I mentioned this on the past 2 live streams, and I mentioned this in our KVK group video when I did my hot topic speech, is that I would like to see them. I'd like to see the game create a kingdom that is just for kicked players. And then they could put whatever limitations they want. Do they want to say no PvP, okay to do PvP, whatever. It's just a kingdom. I don't want to be like for Misfit Toys, but just a kingdom for kicked players. So anyone that's been kicked from a kingdom goes there. This way, those players don't lose out on anything. You could still make alliances. You could still compete in events. The only thing that you absolutely can't do when you're a part of this kingdom is participate in KVK. That's it. Right? That would be like, for me, the number one thing that you just can't do. And that's because, and maybe if you get kicked, you can get like an accelerant. Maybe getting kicked gives you like a 10% speed increase on collecting permits. Maybe a 10% discount. Maybe it's small. It's not hugely impactful enough to where you'll see people kind of cheat the system, especially if you have a limited amount of people you can kick out per month. But at the same time, it's not like you're getting kicked and you're like, oh, well, I still have to go through getting everything, right? Like, no, you still get some benefit. To me, I think those are like the 2 or 3 things that I would love to see be done universally, is have a kingdom that's just dedicated for players that are kicked or discharged from kingdoms, and then they can't participate in KVK, and they have a small discount to permits, and they get a small percentage or accelerated pace of collecting permits from the store. For example, maybe instead of being able to only purchase 1 per week, maybe you could purchase 2 per week, or maybe it's 2 per, or maybe it's 3 per 2 weeks, whatever. Something like that I think is completely fine. And then you can kind of decide and tinker here and there. Okay. Next is seasonal policy concerns. Dev response is, and they didn't put anything here, so it's just the response. We have addressed this problem with care, which I don't know what the problem is because they typoed and missed out on that. The policies only took effect on the test server and will not be applied to the new season. Yeah, so again, I have no idea. That's a little bit of a typo. Maybe they'll probably correct that if they watch this video or someone brings it up. Row registration system optimization. Case insensitive, and I don't know if they meant case sensitive, but it's written here, case insensitive, row player search, plus search by player ID. Thank you for your feedback. We have actively confirmed this issue and are making changes in the next update. In the next patch, you will be able to search players by ID and username case insensitivity, which I think they mean case sensitivity. However, this is great. This is something I've heard from people as being, and this is quality of life. These are the kinds of things that make the game run smoother for the people that are playing the game the most and that are in charge and doing a lot of management. These are the people that you want to try and improve quality of life for, because all that does is trickle down. It's good moves, good vibes all around. So this is lovely. Lastly, glory system. This is an interesting one for me, and I think that this is potentially another hot topic, but in a good way. Add glory points to distinguish genuine battle contributions from stat padding. Now, let me be very clear. I agree with the idea of adding in glory points to where glory points are specifically for, like, you're trying to fine tune this to be the ultimate or to be the best PvP metric more than merits. Because you're not going to stop people merit trading unless you redevelop or come up with some fix there. And so that's fine. Let merits be what they are. Merits are also used in the merits shop. So that's okay. Like, there are uses for those. However, do I think that it would be awesome if they had some kind of dedicated PvP metric, which is really what we thought glory points would be, but including glory points in every KVK, regardless of the season, starting from season 2 onwards? Abso-freaking-lutely. This needs to be in the game, and it needs to be fine-tuned with, and again, it's probably something that'll be constantly fine-tuned, but the approach needs to be, how can we apply and design glory points with the most PvP I don't want to say aforementioned, but with the most PvP mindset, not even in mind, PvP stats in mind, right? Factors that you're going to apply for it. And so this is something that I think would be great. And an example of that would be like, if I'm thinking about this, okay, how am I going to do glory points? Well, I don't think glory points should count if you're attacking farmers. Merits will already do that. I think glory points should count if you're in open field combat, not attacking a farmer, not attacking an RSS tile. Now, again, some people will say, well, boss, what about if troops are RSS tile hopping and they're running away and you just happen to attack it? Okay, that's a very low margin. I'm okay with that not counting, because I don't think that's something that happens every single time. You know, it's not like the battle ensues and then 50 marches go to RSS tiles and then 50 people are running around chasing them. That's not happening. I'm okay with that not counting. I think at least for things like keeps, passes, cities, bastions, open field. Like, those are things for me. And maybe they even put limits on it, where it's like, maybe there needs to be 10 marches or more in an area for it to count. I mean, I'm just not saying it has to be that. I'm just kind of giving an example. Something like that, if they feel that is worthy. And if this is one of those topics that I think would be great to also ask the Hall of King group and to ask maybe top fighters, because this is something that I would love to see them do. In addition, I'd love to see them add T1 through T5 breakdowns. Let's be honest, man. We all want to see it. We want to see T1 through T5 kill breakdowns, deads, and heals. And merits. And then glory points, right? I mean, on top of them having glory points being more PvP distinguishable. Okay, what's the feedback? Thank you for your feedback, from which we have acknowledged your wish for a fairer way to exhibit player contributions. However, the glory system is not the solution, as it cannot distinguish behavior such as farming merits through friendly PvP. We will consider your needs and looks for ways to adjust. I mean, I just provided some solutions, right? Again, you need to understand that when you're going to come up with something, unless you can figure out a foolproof way to do it, there's going to be some give and take. And you'll have to decide on what that is. But I do think what I stated could at least be a good foundational approach and start to how you would factor in and have a glory point system that would be more genuine and be a little bit more respectable to the performances of players in a KVK. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Like, how would you do the glory point system? Let me know in the comments below, along with anything else you're excited about, you're not excited about, you're worried about. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it for us. As always, until next time, I'll catch you later.